This is the story of a scarecrow of a lad born in the shadows of the shipyards of Govan. A fiery young Scot who launched into a career in football and became a success. A very big success.
The character's forged by the environment. If you think about in the winter here, the wind and the cold coming up that Clyde, the mouth of the Irish Sea, into the shipyard area and working on top there, you can just imagine the character it forged. But certainly a hard life, a hard working life. I went into light engineering. I had brains. But my father was a sheet iron worker, then went to the time office in the later years. But my brother was a welder. He was an apprentice welder and then became a welder here. So my father was 40 odd years here.
Ferguson's a goal! Goal by Ferguson!
I was a goal scorer. Every club I was with, I was always the top goal scorer. So I did well that way as a player. I think most people recognise the enormous potential of Aberdeen. Its real strength was the family unit, the team spirit in the place, having grown up together, being the one city, close to each other, gave it an enormous team spirit, you know.
Strachan, Kennedy's onside, this is danger for Celtic, Kennedy across, what a chance for McGee, and a goal! McGee scores, 45 minutes!
Cole is after him, but Strachan released the ball perfectly there for Peter Weir, taking on Mick Mills. And a goal! Weir the scorer, Aberdeen in the lead again.
That's a good ball from Peter Weir. McGee running very well. And it's still there. What's McGee going to do? Must be. Yes. Strachan has made it 3-1. And that is it, I would imagine.
Start to Mitchell. Simpson, McDougall, absolutely marvellous.
I've always done it with all the clubs I'm with. St Mirren had a good youth policy, Aberdeen did an excellent youth policy, and now United have an absolutely marvellous youth policy, and the development of our young players at the clubs is outstanding. There's not a thing they don't get or we don't do for them, and it's a commitment. I decided the airline management, that was where you could get enormous satisfaction. That's where you could build family spirit, team spirit. And I've enjoyed it.
Shot! Oh, beautiful goal from David Beckham! He curled it in from the angle. And Alex Ferguson is delighted that one of his youngsters has restored Manchester United's lead.
Behind you was the cry. Patterson didn't hear. Ryan Giggs nips in. Now Beckham. Beckham looking and finding Giggs. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful! That was a class goal. Beckham, Giggs and Scholes. The kids are united.
I've enjoyed seeing all the young players come through over the years. I've enjoyed seeing Ryan Giggs in his first Welsh cap. I think that's marvellous, that.
Giggs, still Giggs. Beautiful, brilliantly done.
Everyone gets the feeling that the European Champions League, as it's now called, is the one huge prize you desperately want.
It would complete my task as a manager, so to speak. It'd give me enormous satisfaction. I feel then that everything I've worked for in terms of all the coming down to Manchester United would all be worthwhile then. It's always a pleasure to receive awards.
21 years as a soccer manager, which has been the most exciting team you've created?
Well, I don't think there's any question that the United double winning team is, without, in my mind, the best team I've ever managed, or ever been involved with, for that matter.
That's a beautiful ball. Martin, first time, good cross. On the volley by Lee Sharp, and a goal out of the blue.
Parker making a hop. It's only a minute to go. It's come to Lee Sharp. Milligan has to get the head on this. Beckford is needed. He wasn't there. It's hooked back in for Hughes. It's there!
Look at the goalkeeper, Mark. He's on the edge of the box. Has come up. Well, it happens all the time on the continent. You don't see it very often here. Pallister gets the header in. Flowers makes the save. And Paul Ince has put it away. Frankelskis. He's seen a hole he can move into to go for goal! How about that?
Will you create another team that will be as exciting?
Oh, I hope so. Oh, I certainly hope so. I think the great thing about Manchester United is capable of always producing great players. What I have to do now, it's a young team and working away at that, is to create that chemistry again, that great team spirit, that great will to win. And I think I have a nucleus of players at the moment who could eventually develop into as good a side as the double winning team.
Scholes. Cook, full of back heels. There he goes again. Cook's inside the Manchester United defence. He's looking for Giggs. Oh, he scored! Ryan Giggs, the scorer.
Well, I come from Govan, and that's the shipyard area of Glasgow. It's probably the most famous district in Glasgow, simply because of the shipyard. That is my old house. That's where the man was born. There should be a plaque up there, you know. This beast was born here.
It's coming on TV!
This building here, right here, there is where I was brought up. 667 Govan Road, and that's the fire station.
Where do you know him from?
He lived next close to us.
My neighbour.
Mick Law.
Tom, how you play football?
And I played most of my football. There was a piece of ground there called the Works. You know, the Works was behind here. Aye, all right. And right there, just telling them. We used to queue up every Sunday to play a game. And if you were late or you weren't there, you didn't get a game. And you'd have to queue up, waiting for somebody to go for their dinner. And the mother would shout them, and you get in the game. It was incredible. And there's my primary school there. I wonder if it's still there. When I was getting chased, I was in fights. There was a gap in that wall that if you got through, nobody could catch you, because you go different ways through the tenements. I wonder if it's still there. But if I was ever in chase with gangs, or if I come up this way, I come out here, I would run going through the wall. There was also shelters above those walls many years ago, so if they couldn't get up over the wall, so if anyone had gone through, you could have a good kick at them, stop them from coming through. They got off your mark. I always remember it was in there. And there's Ibrox. Now, you just go and I'll just show you how I used to skip into Ibrox. I used to nick over just about this side of it, run along the back of Ibrox and climb over the wall. I got caught once, yeah. And what happened was, I got half caught, he then started chasing me, and I fell down a hole. Somewhere about, probably still in a hole, into a bloody big pool of water. And I get caught. He says, right, the usual, and what's your address? I'm telling your mother. But that was all. For some reason, I get voted as a vice shop steward, you know, assistant shop steward. I took it on, which then come smack bang into the middle of the apprentices strike in 1960-61. There was 10 apprentices, there was only 9 of us there, and the vote went 4-4 as whether to come out. So I went, right, cast and vote were out. Well, did I know it needs a 2/3 majority if they go on strike. But I pushed it through that way, you see, cast and vote. So I went up to the superintendent, Jimmy Cameron. I says, Mr. Cameron, can I see you? And he put his glasses, he says, you can't go on strike, you're indentured apprentices. I always remember saying that. I says, I'm not indentured, we're no indentured apprentices. You're committed to your, you know, when they start the way, you can't. I said, I'm sorry, but we'll have to. The whole of bloody Scotland's waiting on us.
Who guided you?
Oh, my father, no doubt about that. Oh, he was a strict disciplinarian. He was a disciplined man. For instance, when I served my apprenticeship, I wasn't late once in 5 years of apprenticeship. Never once was I late. And I've this thing in me, I can never be late for anything. I must be the first there. And people used to say I was like my father. But I think people who really know the family think I was more like my mother. And she had a fantastic determination, incredible determination. And I always remember the day she died, she's just have a good greet and remember me. She was it was incredible, she was never afraid of dying at all. Not in a bit, well I'm terrified of, I don't know what you're like, but I'm absolutely terrified of that thing, you know.
I'm Martin Ferguson, and this is my older brother Alex here. I was just having a chat about old times when we lived together down in Govan.
Did he look after you then as the older brother?
As an older brother, he used to batter me.
They're doing what?
No, we used to fight when we were younger. I suppose like every brothers do. We fought like cat and dog over clothes and different things like that. And then when I took the ball off him, he didn't like it when we used to play football.
Martin was a really skillful player. A really good passer of the ball. But me being a year older, it was always a year ahead of, so I did everything first before he would do it. But he probably achieved the same things. We both played for the school team, both played for Glasgow schools, both went to Drumchapel amateurs, that type of thing. And we both went senior. In fact, the early part of Martin's senior career was far more fruitful than mine. He played for Partick Thistle's first team when he was 18. I went to St Johnson, didn't fulfil what I thought I should have done. And it wasn't until I went full-time at 22 my career started to take off as a player.
If you could take one of his qualities and inject it into yourself, what would it be?
I would think that his nature. Far more placid nature and far easier to go on with, and would have always got an edge to me.
And I would presume the determination is what you'd
Oh,
want.
absolutely. I would imagine, I always wished I had Alex's determination. I'm quite sure I would have done better in football. I'm certain of that.
When I went to senior secondary at Govan High, that I started getting recognised at Glasgow school level. I started thinking that, yeah, maybe the dream will come true.
The leggy Ferguson was a finer type, who excelled in his ball skill and passing. At times he was well out of position because of his urge to go forward. He moved around the Paisley goal area with the merciless menace of a spider stalking his prey.
I was a goal scorer. Every club I was with, I was always the top goal scorer. So I did well that way as a player.
You'd probably never notice Alec Ferguson in a crowd. He's not one of the kind who sticks out. He has lightish coloured hair, dresses quietly, and is far from being one of your noisy characters.
What kind of player were you?
Everybody in Scotland will tell you that he should have wore his football boots on his elbows rather than his feet, because he played with his elbows out like this all the time. and he made Justin Fashanu look like Miss Piggy.
Did he have a record of being sent off or booked?
Well, I don't know how it happened, but I managed to be sent off 7 times, believe it or not. Injustices all over the world, you know. There's not many Govan boys actually played for Rangers, only a few. It was really special to think about it, that you brought up just behind the stand and you eventually play for them.
Here's Hine to Henderson, to Johnston. Ferguson's a goal. Goal by Ferguson. Rangers lead and Fairman nothing with 6 minutes of the game left.
He didn't like losing, and I think when he walked out there to with our jersey on, he was fulfilling not only his own ambition but his family's ambition as well for him to play for Rangers Football Club. And it showed. He got involved, hated losing, and it's just a pity he didn't play here longer than he did.
I didn't want to leave, but eventually, after training Moline for about 6 months, eventually realised I had to go. There's nothing else for it.
Is it true you are the best uncapped striker in Scotland?
I beg your pardon, I got a cap. Got 2 or 3.
Of course, you did find time to get married, 24 years of age.
Yeah, I was 24 years of age and Kathy followed me all over Glasgow, finally gave in. What could I do?
What's her version?
Well, you better ask her.
Well, I worked beside him. The firm went on strike and Alex still had his football. So he had the money, so I went out with Alec. That's my version.
Gold digging?
Well, that's partly the reason.
When did you first meet him?
I met him in the dancing and I worked beside him, but I met him in the Locarno in Glasgow.
Was he a good dancer?
Lousy. No footballers can dance that I know.
What was the first impression you had of him?
The very first impression I saw him, he had 2 black eyes and a broken nose, and I thought he was a thug, but he had broke his nose in the football, but which I didn't know, because I didn't know he was a footballer.
Love at first sight?
No, no.
The great thing about Kath is that she's a family woman, she's a family person, so she's never get carried away, and that is sort of a reinforcing of my own attitudes and things. But it's a down-to-earth thing, you know, that amidst all the glory and the great game you play in, and you come home that Saturday night and you maybe lost and you look for that little bit of sympathy, you get absolutely none. Those bloody rains, you've no idea the day I've had today. And all of a sudden, you say to yourself, there is something else apart from football.
Do you watch football?
No.
Never go?
I go a few times a year if I've got maybe a friend down in the women wants the women want to go, I go with them, but I don't like going.
Why?
I get too nervous. I don't even watch it when it's on telly. I don't. I put the CFAX on for the results, for the half-time scores when it's on live.
If I ask you to describe Alex to us.
On a good day or a bad day.
Do it on a good day.
He shouts a lot, but he's perhaps worse than his bite. Yes, and he's good with the boys. I must admit, he's good with the 3 boys and their wives and girlfriends, and he's great with the grandson. And with my mother as well. I must admit, he's good. He's a good family man.
Probably that in my makeup anyway. To always want to make a decision, always wanted to lead the pack, if you know what I mean. Even as a kid playing in the playground, I probably had a determined outlook and about, right, you're playing in that team, all right, deciding things.
Certain ways he's like Shankly. He's a good speaker, you know, and he comes across very well. He can fall out with a player 1 minute and be the best of chums next minute.
I think once you've been with him for so many years, the older players aren't particularly, but he frightens the young lads to death.
He cares about people, you know, and not only football players, but like old age pensioners, the staff that work, clean the place, and office staff.
I think he's mellowed a little bit. I mean, but he's still got this. We all know this. This drive and ambition to win. That's still with him. I mean, that'll still with him. No matter how many trophies he wins. I mean, when you look at his record, and he keeps on striving for success, is quite unbelievable.
I admire Jocksy. I thought Jocksy was a fantastic. I thought he was a clever man. He was in terms of knowing people. That was his great strength, knowing people, weaknesses in everyone. I must admit, when I went to Rangers, the manager there, Scott Simon, who was to my mind, I looked at that man and I said, well, there's a real man. And I took one thing out of him in particular. I never criticised my players publicly. I wish I'd have met Sir Matt when I was younger, you know, because I hear stories of Kiddo, you know, Kiddo tells me about some of the stories of Sir Matt, and, you know, some of the things he would say before games, and when you're having a bad time, and brilliant. He says, you know that lovely, charming man is iron, steel.
It's really amazing. I look around at all this to think it all started back at East Stirling.
4.5 hard and difficult months at East Stirling, then progress to Love Street, home of St Mirren.
There was a lot of players here, say, why are they here? In that first season, I think I freed 18 players. I think it was 18 players I did, out of about 32. You know, I remember one year, it was at St Mirren, I think it was my last year at St Mirren, I decided to change it and do it a different way, because I couldn't handle this, taking one at a time, you know. And I called 8 in at the one time. Oh, what a mistake that was. Disaster. You know, you think that, well, instead of I was sitting waiting, one by one at the executioner's call, I would call them all in together and do it. And they're all young lads, maybe one or two older ones who knew that maybe they'd needed a change anyway. But that was hopeless.
What was your biggest achievement at St Mirren?
They won the first division. We were a real young team. Only lost 2 games in the season. Their gates went from 1,200 up to 15,000.
The runaway championship success at St Mirren began to attract the attention of bigger clubs. In June 1978, Alex moved to Pittodrie, home of Aberdeen, and began a remarkable reign of unparalleled success.
That's a chance for McGee to set up for McMaster.
And it's a shock opening goal for Aberdeen. Peter McCloy rooted to the spot.
Conroy losing out to McMaster. Oh, good control by McMaster. Did that beautifully, and a good ball out to Scanlon. McGee, Archibald striking all in the centre. Scanlon checks right foot, then left foot. There's a cross, aimed for Archibald. Latchford drops it, Strachan scores. Strachan makes it 3-1. Disaster for Peter Latchford.
Well, I remember my first Old Firm game with him. We scored in the last minute, and they're all dancing about in the dressing room, and they drew. They thought it was a fantastic result, the players. You know? So you had to change the attitude, the mental attitude about playing against the Old Firm.
In only his second full season at Aberdeen, the Glasgow stranglehold in the Premier League was broken, clinching the title in style, a 5-1 victory at Hibernian.
They relished it. They felt winners. You know, for a lot of those players who'd never been used to winning, and never could maybe dream of ever beating Rangers and Celtic to win something, if you know what I mean, a league in particular. Because I think it was 16 years since anyone outside the Old Firm had won the league in Scotland. And I think it was Kilmarnock with the last team before that. So it gives you a fair indication of how difficult it was to win a title off the Old Firm. For those Aberdeen players, they absolutely relished it. You know, they couldn't get enough of it after that.
Brilliant ball by Cooper. DL. And it goes into John McDonald, he scored. 1-0 for Rangers. A quite superb goal by John McDonald. And about 12 minutes of the first half gone. That's a good looking ball again at Jackson. Hard hit there by Simpson. And there's a floating equaliser by Alec McLeish. 1-1, a superb goal. Strachan. Well, that's a brilliant ball. McGee, he scored. Mark McGee has put Aberdeen into the lead. McGee running very well. And it's still there. What's McGee going to do? It must be. Yes. Strachan has made it 3-1. And that is it, I would imagine. Strachan. Away goes Cooper. Cooper with a great chance. Cooper must make it 4. He does. Oh. There is Willie Miller. Here is the jubilation. There's a kiss and there's a cup. John Gregg and Alec Ferguson. Great bodies. Russell. Oh, a gift now. Simpson. Wants a 1-2. That's a good ball. McGee likes his position. It could be there. It is the winner. That will win the cup. Eric Black, 1-0. That is the end.
Strachan now to find his way through the... Take the lead. Gallego. There's Juanito with a dummy. Careless one from McLeish. That'll be a penalty kick, yes. Leighton is penalised. Juanito will take it. No chance for Leighton. Peter Weir. Delightful little...
I always remember when we arrived back and came off the bus, and Jock Stein was with us, you know. And my brother was there, with a few of my friends, and they're standing, and they formed a gangway, and they clapped us in. Very politely clapped us in. They were proud of us, but you know. And I come in and I said to Jock Stein, if I had been in Glasgow, we'd never got off the bus. They ripped the bus apart and carried us in shoulder high. But that was the culture of the people, you know.
There's McGarvey 10 yards back. That's Strachan's question. There it goes to McLeish. Headed back in for McGee. There is Eric Black. He's onside, and that's the opening goal. Provan on the wing. He's had some success taking on rugby on the inside this afternoon. There's a chance for Melrose. And the equaliser for Cole McStay. Bell. And he hits the post. Bonner completely beaten. A flighted ball for Black. The shot goes in from Mark McGee, and Aberdeen are in front. And what a roar we'll have from the Aberdeen supporters behind the goal. And there it goes, the final whistle. Aberdeen have completed the hat-trick. The smile from Alec Ferguson.
For Aberdeen, this is the 3rd year in a row their team have returned in triumph with the Scottish Cup. But if the Granite City's getting blasé about their heroes' open-top journey through the town centre, they're certainly not letting it show. The Dons emerged to a sea of red and white with both this season's trophies. The almost unbeatable team are Premier League champions as well. This will be the last time the players who've brought European as well as domestic glory to Aberdeen will be seen together. The fame of the Dons' most glorious 2 years has won the attention of bigger clubs. Gordon Strachan is off to Manchester United, and striker Mark McGee looks set for Europe. But today was one of celebration, with both Scotland's major trophies at Pittodrie for the first time in the club's history.
Fergie was getting a reputation, but some of it was for his fiery temper. And one night in Romania, the legend was born, and Gordon Strachan felt the full force of it.
And at this team, it's a big, huge thing like this. There's one he's made of pewter or lead, I don't know what it was. But I says, I'm bloody well fed up, you disobeying my orders or whatever I was saying. And I whacked this. It was absolutely solid, Paul. You couldn't believe it. And I just booted the whole thing up in the air. And of course the tea and everything was all over the place, cups everywhere, me Strack sitting like that. The tea's dripping down the wall behind him. He's sitting there not saying a word, you know, like that. And Archie, who was sitting not far away, he's absolutely soaked. Archie knows.
He's also very, very good at building players' confidence. You know, it'll never be a continual thing against a player. It'll always be a case of, right, if a player needs a rollicking, then it'll be an hour later, then he'll be building up that player's confidence again.
The pattern was established. 1984 and 1985 saw Aberdeen win successive championships.
Porteous with the free kick. There's Willie Miller. The equaliser for Aberdeen. And how Miller enjoyed it. And there goes the final whistle. The Aberdeen supporters greet their favourites. And then it was their captain, Willie Miller, who gave an inspired defensive performance and who eventually headed the equalising goal, which guarantees the league championship for Aberdeen for the second time in succession and the third time in 6 years.
Hewitt comes in. McDougall goes to the left. John Hewitt will try the shot on. He does, and he scored brilliantly. Weir, Walter Kidd. There's a dummy, there's a goal. 2-0. John Hewitt, and he's been driving them on in the second half. Oh, there's a third one. Billy Stark. 3-0 for Aberdeen, and that is the cup final well and truly finished, I think, as far as Hearts are concerned.
I said to the chairman, I says, I'm quitting at the end of the season. He says, what do you mean you're quitting? I says, I think I now definitely need a new challenge. He says, have you got a job? And I says, no, but I think I'll get one. He says, I'm sure you will, but is it not a bit silly leaving without having a job? He says, as far as I'm concerned, the only job you should leave for is Manchester United. That's what he said to me. He says, the only club, to my mind, would satisfy you in terms of a challenge. I says, well, so we had a sort of agreement, if they ever came, they would not stand my road. And that's with all honesty, without anything, any knowledge, any time ever, that Manchester United would ever be interested in me. But he looked at the scenario that for me, that the perfect setup for me would be Manchester United.
The tragic death of Jock Stein left Alec as Scotland manager for the 1986 World Cup in Mexico. Graham Souness remained captain, and there were 6 Aberdeen players, including Willie Miller and Alec McLeish, the defensive cornerstones. But there was one notable absentee.
There was the controversy of the Alan Hansen thing. And I always remember Jock saying to me, you know, he's always withdrawn from the team. And Big Jock had given up a wee bit in him himself. So we played England at Wembley, and we picked him, and I was going to play him. We came down, trained at Luton's ground, did a lap of the track, and I turned around and he was walking away. And I says to him, well, I said, what's wrong? He says he's feeling his knee. He's going back to Liverpool. So that really, to me, decided Alan Hansen's fate, really.
I didn't enjoy it too much, the actual World Cup itself, because I get conflict of interest, having 6 Aberdeen players with me, picking the team in the last game against Uruguay. I made a mess of that, I think. I should have kept Souness in, really, but these things happen. But I came home convinced I had to move.
It was unanimous that Alec Ferguson was the man. We all obviously have our own reasons for that, but my reasons were that he'd taken Aberdeen from a reasonably small, unsuccessful Scottish club to really challenge the might of Rangers and Celtic, and he was at least on equal terms with them, possibly had even overtaken them.
Well, this is the biggest club in the game. You don't miss the opportunity, first of all. And I kept saying, you know, there must be a simple reason why they haven't won the league. You know, no vanity, but you say, well, how could this enormous giant not have won the league? Because that's all I could think about.
But it was certainly going to be a heck of a job. Alex Ferguson was in charge of a side ravaged by injury, lacking self-belief, lacking direction. Oxford United were the team who beat Manchester United in his first game as manager. These were humble beginnings, but as in any job, there has to be a settling-in period, time to assess the situation, time to take stock. But time was in short supply, and at the end of his first week, United were just one place off the bottom. Ferguson knew he had to act, and act quickly. Happily, his first win came only a week later, at home to Queen's Park Rangers.
In the league, obviously, it was a matter of consolidating and make sure we weren't at the bottom pile coming the end of the season, which we weren't. We did go up to the halfway stage, and considering we were second bottom, I was quite satisfied with that. I'd love to have been better, but I was satisfied. But I knew at the end of the season I'd taken on a big job, because the age of the team was bad, you know. There's too many at the wrong age to accept a few challenges. And I think that at the end of that first season, and I said to the chairman, I think you need 8, 9 players, really. And he says, what the hell? He says, I thought maybe I could buy with maybe 3 players. And I went along with that, really. Well, first of all, we tried to get Peter Beardsley, and they wanted 3 million at the time. I always remember the manager saying, no, it's 3 million. And about 3 weeks later, they sold him to Liverpool for 1.9. You know, I was angry at that. I really was angry at that. When Graham Taylor phoned me about John Barnes, but I committed myself to a long contract, to another contract with Jesper Olsen. And I suppose you could say we made a mistake there, all right. I think we maybe did make a mistake.
You don't like Barnes?
Oh, yes, yeah. We made a mistake there.
But there was certainly no mistake with his first 2 signings, Arsenal's Viv Anderson and Celtic's Brian McClare, though possibly his most astute acquisition was his assistant, Archie Knox.
Someone I knew and trusted, that's important, Paul, and he works hard. I mean, Archie's a real beast for work. He's just, Brian Kidd is exactly the same. They work hard, they're honest, you can trust them. That's what you need as an assistant.
No matter what he was involved in, no matter what game he was involved in, it was a game of cards or whatever, then he wanted to win. And it was that sort of will that he imposed on everybody.
And he managed to install that in the players, clearly.
Well, that's exactly what it was all about. You know, they were left in no doubt. Anybody that worked under Alec was left in no doubt that you had to display winner qualities or you were not any use to them.
The following season, things looked to be falling into place. The Ferguson signings were responding magnificently. Brian McClare top scoring with 24 goals. United were competing again at the right end of the table, and there were plenty of wonderful moments.
Down forward, Strachan making a lovely run through the middle. He's onside. Gordon Strachan with a chance to equalise, and does. What a turn-up. The 10 men have come back from 3-1 down to 3-3.
Dixon again, and it's there by McClare.
And in my first full season, we were second in the league, but I knew we had no chance in the league with the team I had. I said to myself, well, I've got to build my own team. I've got to bring in players that are going to be hungry and accept a few challenges. And that was what we did.
Youth was also given its chance. Fresh faces for the fresh challenge. Players like Lee Sharp, Lee Martin, Mark Robbins, Russell Beardsmore and Tony Gill seen scoring here against Queen's Park Rangers. The press coined the catchphrase Fergie's fledglings, and there was a distinct buzz at Old Trafford and newfound confidence. Unfortunately, it couldn't be sustained. The demand of a long, hard season took its toll, performances tailed off, and so too did the crowds.
The remainder of the season, really, Paul, was about getting it over with and starting anew the next season. We let Gordon Strachan go. It wasn't Gordon Strachan that I knew at Aberdeen. It was nothing like that. He said at the time that had gone stale, that he didn't feel motivated playing at United. He was the highest paid player at the club. I thought that had enough motivation itself. But
the most controversial or the most sensitive of your team building was to release Norman Whiteside and Paul McGrath.
Yeah, it was. I mean, it was controversial, and it was, to a lot, I suppose, astonishing, really. Because you're talking about two tremendously talented players. And I've gone on record in the past about Norman Whiteside's ability. I mean, I think of all the players I've had at this club, I'm talking about some tremendous players, he was a fraction away from being world class. And he's probably the first to agree that I did the right thing, let him go. I felt that he should go for another challenge somewhere. In the case of Paul, I couldn't accept the way that Paul lived his life, you know, and that was it, really. But at the end of the day, you stand and fall by your decisions. I think management's about decisions. I think it's about being positive about decisions. People recognise positive behaviour in managers. I think they look for it. And I think the players then sat up and says, well, he does mean business. The ideology of it was absolutely right. Build a new team, fresh young players, accepted challenges, players with potential. And what you don't know is if they're going to bottle to play United, of course. But in hindsight, now that we're in control of how the club is going to run, we will not be doing nothing like that again.
You nearly had Paul Gascoigne.
Yeah, Paul promised to sign. I always remember him saying that to me. He says, Mr. Ferguson, you go enjoy your holiday. I'm not signing for Tottenham. I'm going to go to Man United. And I was I went to Malta on holiday and went to the pool and had a nice, beautiful time. Tannoy goes, Mr. Ferguson, as a chairman, to tell me to sign for Tottenham. So you win some, you lose some.
Sharp challenge by Gale. Bishop to Morley. Bishop again. Great ball for David White from Ian Bishop. Early cross. Chance at the far post. That's just marvellous stuff. It's a dream day for Manchester City.
And a nightmare day for Manchester United. The faces said it all. In many ways, this was the lowest point. Defeat by their arch-rivals in such a convincing fashion, it made it even tougher to bear.
There were Manchester United fans sitting there. They've gone home.
Oh, I thought we were playing quite well too. But we actually weren't playing not too badly. But that, I mean, when you're not winning, it's always going to be the back page, the front page of the club anyway.
Suddenly the press was sensing blood, and United's third-round FA Cup tie with Nottingham Forest suddenly became central to the argument.
We knew how hard Alec Ferguson was working, not just with the first team, but at the lower level, at the youth level, the A team and the B team. He is a bit of a workaholic. We knew the tremendous effort and hours that he was putting in, and we felt that with that sort of effort, that sort of determination, that eventually he would be able to turn it round.
But you had to keep your nerve.
We did have to keep our nerve. We were under tremendous pressure from the press. But Alec's on record as saying that before the Nottingham Forest game, it's quite true, I did invite him into my office and I said to him, look, whatever happens on Saturday, Alec, your career does not rest on that with Manchester United. I can assure you, whatever the result on Saturday, we'll be retaining you.
The back pages were made, really, because everyone expected us to lose. And if you remember Jimmy Hill's comment before the game, he says, look, even their warm-ups were a beaten team. Always remember that. So, I think what did it that day was defiance from the supporters.
Orlickson. Kept in by Martin. Hughes, he's got a lot of room. And here's Robbins. And did it get the deflection? Was it Robbins or Pearce? I think it may well have been the fullback. But Robbins for sure will claim it.
And you look at the pitch, and it's a mud heap. You can't get the ball out of the mud, and it's windy. You say, oh, I wouldn't like to come here in the first round of the FA Cup. Well, that was one of these days at Hereford. And you say to yourself, God, that was a narrow squeak.
That has just come up to the near post. Henderson just on the edge of the 6-yard area. And they all miss it except Robbins. It's in. Robbins has done it again. Here's Mark McGee. Aitken has gone outside. McGee, penalty! Bruce bringing down McGee. Which will really lift the noise around St James's Park. It does. Anderson, McClare, Stimson for company. Wallace! Yes! Oh, what a finish! What a finish! Right on the hour. Roy Aitken hovering around the penalty spot. And he's down. And the ball is in. Kevin Scott. Ince looking for Wallace and may have found him. Little touch, McClare.
So it was a great atmosphere, and that's when I first realised what the FA Cup was really about in that particular year. It was fabulous.
Holden again, trying to change the angle. Oh, open one, and Barrett! Oh, Barrett, the scorer. What a mess for Manchester United. What a delight for Oldham Athletic. Hughes. Barrett. Bruce. And Robson! It's 1-1. Phelan. Slightly stubbed it, but it comes to Gibson. And it's Webb. Irwin. Redfern got away. It's good cross. Marshall! What an unbelievable day this is. Nicked away by McClare. Useful for Wallace. Test of his pace, now test of his finish. And he's equal to both. Milligan. Yes, the space here for Marshall. And Palmer's far side. It's all square again. Robson. Redfern. Still Robson. Wallace. Robson just inside. Give it me back. He's screaming to be given it back. Wallace. Oh, it's going to go in. Yes, McClare. Brian McClare. Is that going to be another crucial goal in the FA Cup? Owen, it suddenly opened up in front of him. Owen again. Milligan. Holden. Appeal for handball. Not given. Holden's cross, it's a bit short. And it runs to Ritchie! Andy Ritchie! Sudden increase in impetus again. Phelan. Robbins! Yes! What a remarkable record this young man has got.
Even although we got to the final, there was still a lot of the scribes predicting if we didn't win the cup, that would be finished. Winning is the name of the game, and to win the final would take a lot of the pressure away from me.
Free kick to Crystal Palace. Andy Gray's back on his feet to take it. Thorne O'Reilly's in there. And was it over the line? And it's a goal. Ince. That's a good-looking ball for McClare. Wallace comes near post. Wallace. McClare. Robson. Goal! Brian Robson equalises for Manchester United. Webb. There's Wallace. A ricochet. Hughes! 2-1 to Manchester United. Devastating finish by Mark Hughes. Now here's Wright, his first chance to show what he can do. And he's through. It's Wright. Oh, what an impact by the substitute. It's 2-2. To Wallace. Hughes goes through the middle, chance in, the 3-3. Mark Hughes!
And after the game against Crystal Palace, the first game, the lad was shattered. He really was shattered. In the dressing room after that game, he was shattered. Everyone knew that. But you still got to make the decision. And the easy decision was to play him again. The hard decision won us a cup.
And now McClare, he's into the centre much more in the second half. You know, he's moved in from the right-hand side, Brian McClare, and he's having some good play and some good touches. This is Wallace. Webb. Lee Martin from left back, an inspired run on the far side. A chance here, and a goal! What a tremendous run! And Manchester United have taken the lead. Manchester United have won the FA Cup and equalled the record of 7 outright wins.
It was a lovely, balmy night. You know, it was a beautiful night. And the next thing I remember, Jason, my son Jason, running across the pitch and 2 stewards chasing him, jumping on top of me, you know. That was a great moment too. Because although it's relief for you in a way, it must be a great, really great relief for your family.
And just look at that man's face. The years seem to have fallen away there from Alex Ferguson after a season of torment and tribulation. Manchester United equal the record of Aston Villa and Tottenham Hotspur. They win the FA Cup for the 7th time.
A typical Catalan scene, and there the United supporters at the other end. We've got firecrackers, we've had wind, we've had rain here in Rotterdam today, but all that doesn't matter now. What matters is the final of the European Cup Winners' Cup.
Here's Koeman with the free kick. And it's in there! Oh, and it's been knocked by McClare straight to Goyakachia. In comes Dennis Owen. It's over! Manchester United are the winners! 2 goals for 1 after a wait of 23 years. Up he goes. The Cup Winners' Cup of 1991 belongs to Manchester United.
To win a European trophy, no matter where you do it, it's a fantastic achievement, a wonderful feeling. When you see the atmosphere of Rotterdam, you know, the support you've taken there, you know how many people you're making happy people that night.
Alistair knocking it into McClare, the little touch for Giggs, he's away again. Little ball in play there for McClare again! A goal for Manchester United! Brian McClare, made by Ryan Giggs.
Yet more success, and suddenly onto the scene the most exciting young footballer seen in years, Ryan Giggs, who provided Brian McClair with the opportunity to score the winning goal. Ryan Giggs, the most talked about young player in the country, a precocious talent, prompting excitement and discussion. Ryan Giggs had arrived, and everybody wanted to know all about him.
Who takes them on this time? Kanchelskis coming infield and leaving room for McClair to go on. Oh, and it's Giggs! What a volley!
You took a lot of stick for the way you protected Ryan Giggs.
Yeah, because they wanted to get to him. And no way they could make me bend is by criticising my attitude towards it. They were hoping I would bend in it and say, right, you get full access. No question about it. Alex Ferguson did the right thing for Ryan Giggs. And that's the only thing that matters, what is right for the boy. And Desmond Lyon, I thought, was absolutely ridiculously out of order. His public property stuff. Everyone entirely know about him. It's an absolutely ridiculous thing to do. I don't know if he has any family or not. Would he subject it, at the time he said that Ryan was 18? Would he like his 18-year-old son or daughter exposed so the world knew everything about him? I thought it was a ridiculous piece for a respected journalist like Desmond Lynham to say that.
But it was the championship itself that remained the ultimate goal, and United was suddenly in touching distance for the first time in 25 years. In 1992 they looked to have it within their grasp, only to falter against Nottingham Forest at Easter time. Having gone behind, they clawed their way back into the game, but ultimately it proved to be Alex Ferguson's most disappointing moment at the club.
Oh, that was a sore one, because I felt then we'd lost the league. It was 1-1 with about 15-20 minutes to go, and the boy Crossley had a magnificent save from a Brian McClair half volley, absolutely magnificent save, and then right up the pitch and scored. Real killer below, and I was really gutted about it.
I said to everybody, I said, you know, it's the first time I have to say this, we definitely need a holiday. We definitely need a holiday. And I went away for a month.
You just sense the year that we got beat by Leeds to win the championship, and we just slipped up at the last minute. I think that changed his outlook on it, because the next season he seemed so much more calmer, and his approach was just slightly different to what it had been the year before. And I think that came through onto the players as well, and I think that's why they went on to win the league quite comfortably.
The summer priority had been a striker, but Sheffield Wednesday's David Hurst said no, and so too did Alan Shearer, who headed off to Blackburn Rovers.
I must say that I was disappointed in my conversation with him, I must say that. He surprised me, the lad. He seemed to be money, it seemed to be the most important thing to him. That was... So anyway, it doesn't matter that. He'd made his decision to go to Southampton, to go to Blackburn. And there wasn't really anything I could do at that point, to be honest with you.
But to the country's true amazement, Alex Ferguson pulled off the transfer coup of all transfer coups. Eric Cantona from Leeds.
During the conversation we got out to talking, we threw in Cantona, and he says, well, we need to think about that one and things like that.
How long's he been in your mind though? Not just during that phone conversation, presumably.
Well, yeah, just more or less that.
Really, like that?
Yeah.
And what, did you decide there and then?
Yeah.
He is tailor-made for Manchester United. He stretches the imagination of our supporters, which is quite vivid anyway. They can reminisce with great players along with Cantona, the Laws, the Best, and the Edwards, and players of that ilk, and I think that our support probably needed that, you know, that type of player.
Davy Serwin, Lee Sharp, got away from Sinclair. It's a great cross. Phelan arriving. Cantona maybe. Yes.
Mark Hughes. Oh, he's so strong. He just held him off. Cantona. Twisted and turned. Still Cantona. And again. The first shot was saved. The second wasn't.
Hughes, lovely turn round Bonk, who committed himself, and now Lee Sharp. Cantona making the early run, here he is! Lovely goal, lovely goal!
I think bring the championship back to Old Trafford. I think that was a major feat.
But it's Giggs who takes it to that side! And Mims, wherever it came from, didn't have it covered.
The trophy that brought back that great tradition at the club, plus, most importantly, is the way we did it, the excitement that we produced.
Maybe just now Manchester United are enjoying the difference. Instead of playing for the...
Since the Mark Busby days, it was without question, this has brought back all that excitement to the ground again. It's terrific to see that great enthusiasm and love of the team coming back.
The crown is there to be received. Yes, he has them! Oh! The crown and glory!
So I'm particularly proud of that, and I hope, I would think the supporters will recognise that as a thing they'll always remember me by.
Extend the theme heard so often here. This is the brightest side of life in football.
I'm fortunate in many ways that to have gotten on quite well in these last few years, but also unfortunate that he was getting older, and so in his last 2 or 3 years anyway, that you missed that great knowledge he had, because as he got older you didn't want to burden him with any of my problems, you know, and we were quite happy to see him just relax and enjoy himself when he came to Old Trafford during the day and he was smoking his pipe, and we'll miss that, because even when you come up the stairs some days and you knew he was in the building because you could smell the pipe, you know, it was good.
And when I was having a hard time in '89, I did go to him, you know, and sat down. He was puffing away his pipe, and he says, "How's things, son?" I says, "Well," I says, "hard." This is a presser, give me a, you know. He said, "Why do you read him?" You know, that's the simplest advice anyone could possibly get, and I can't even think of it myself. And that is as good advice I'll ever get in my life.
But even the legendary Sir Matt Busby never achieved the League and Cup double, and Steve Bruce lifting the FA Cup at Wembley.
There was a vital hunger about it. Players like Keane and Ince and Hughes and Bruce, Brian Robson provided that great hunger, that great spark that all great teams have. And then you had the flair, you had Eric Cantona, Ryan Giggs, the speed of Kanchelskis, the magnificent goalkeeping of Schmeichel, maybe a bit eccentric, but it was a personality he had, you see. The personality in the team was good. The dressing room was good. And I feel that all these ingredients made it a marvellous team.
Who heads it away? Gary Pallister for the umpteenth time. Cantona has got two to the right. Kanchelskis is one of them. Parker. Keane. They're queuing up here. Ince. Cantona. Ince involves Giggs on the left.
Now
Owen.
Keep ball, Martin. Come and get it if you want it.
There's the acceleration. Oh, this is absolutely fantastic. Dennis Irwin. The whole cup tie summed up in an instant.
There's 1 or 2 games when I made the point about what perfection is in a football team, and that is when 11-year players hit a peak and they all play so well in the day that you only get it maybe 5 or 6 times in your life. Similar to some of the football in the Sheffield Wednesday game, certain periods in the game you could have set it to music, you know, really, it was that good.
But it was also the end of an era, with Brian Robson moving on to Middlesbrough and management. No one has given more to the United cause in terms of passion, commitment and leadership.
Because no matter the circumstances, and this is why I'm so pleased for him, that we did win the championship. No matter the circumstances, Brian Robson carried the torch for our club for the 10 years he was at the club before we won the championship. Every false hope we had, or every false dawn we had, was all centred around Brian Robson being the club. He was one who's always going to lead us to a championship.
When you say the best of Alex Ferguson, crikey, what else can he achieve like to be any better? Yeah, but I know that he's a determined person and that he wants to win something every year. Now, whether they can ever achieve the double again or make Man United win the European Champions League is another thing. If he does achieve that again, then he's probably been one of the most successful managers ever.
And as Brian Robson will find out, there's always new challenges to face in management, even at the most successful clubs. And Alex Ferguson was tested like never before throughout the 94-95 season.
We've made decisions to suit Manchester United and their supporters. They want Eric Cantona as a player. He has been one of the best players in the last 3 decades to grace our football field. That's not forgotten. And he has been instrumental in our championship wins. And we're not forgetting that either. And they can be again.
The championship race had developed into a straight fight between United and Blackburn Rovers. Typically, it was Eric Cantona who scored the winning goal to bring the sides closer together at the top. For once, it was United chasing the leaders, and over at Ewood Park, the nerves were suddenly beginning to show.
Blackburn started to make mistakes. And I started to enjoy it. I started to find it quite funny, actually. I did, really. I was quite enjoying that they would be getting nervous and I was going on about Devon Loch and all that type of thing. And I was just stirring it up, stoking it up. I just found it quite hilarious. And when we got to the last game, I thought it was so funny the last 15 minutes, 20 minutes. I turned to the kid and I says, just run out there and put that bloody ball in the net. Stand at the post and nobody will see you. It just got to the point, it's just something needed to get a foot.
United somehow survived, and again it fell to Andy Cole, the great predator, and it wouldn't go in.
The bitter disappointment of missing out on the double prompted Alex Ferguson to start rebuilding yet again. Players that had been such an integral part of the recent success were allowed to leave. But then time always moves on. It's the memories that are left behind. Great memories.
Oh, it's Hughes. Mark Hughes. Well, wouldn't you have just had a bet on it?
He was a legend. No question about that, Paul. Well, I mean, the thing about Mark Hughes was it gave you more than 100% because that was his way. He had to, every time he got on the field, use that as his platform to demonstrate what courage was about, what commitment was about. And taking aside all the great goals he scored for us, his actual effort to put in a Manchester United jersey means he is a legend. And that will never be forgotten.
Keeps it in, despite the efforts of King.
Very likeable in many things, but he has a strong personality. And this acclaimed title he gave himself as the governor was all right. It was fine when he was a young lad, when he was 21, 22. And we could laugh at it and say, well, he's cocky and he's a Londoner and he's... But it got heavy, towards his last year, and I think there was a mixed feeling about it throughout the club, I didn't particularly like it, I must say. But in terms of the football field, there has to be the right balance. There has to be humility, and I think that basically footballers, like people around about them, they're just feet in the ground. They recognise people get carried away at times, and Paul for a spell get carried away.
Cantona, who was in his own half, and clearly onside. Kanchelskis is there, the cherry on the icing on the cake.
But I know deep down last September, a year ago, more than a year ago, that clubs were getting faxes alerting that Andrew Kanchelskis was going to become available. More than a year ago. I have seen faxes. And I find that incredible. We did everything we possibly could. But the die was cast, Paul, and I think you have to look at his agent and say, this is real heavy stuff, this. I mean, some of the meetings with him and the chairman and I, oh, it's incredible.
Example?
Real Godfather stuff. Real stuff. Amazing stuff. Couldn't believe it.
What, threatening?
Oh, I think there was a few threats there, all right. Absolutely, I think there was threats. There was one point I just had to laugh at it. Look at the chairman's face. You see him look at his face, saying, "What is going on here in this world?" You know. But at the end of the day, the best thing was for him to leave. Then, once we got to that stage and that, listen to all that diatribe, we just had to let him go. And then I'll tell you, he's let down Manchester United. As far as I'm concerned, he let Manchester United down. One of his great quotes was, during all the conflict between Everton and ourselves about the registration and all the various things, he says, "I've signed a 5-year contract for Everton, that is binding." I think that was a telling point. He signed a 5-year contract the year before with us. I thought that was binding.
And I made decisions in summer, which was all about tomorrow. It was about...
Neville takes the throw. Keane. Butt, sharp, Nicky Butt. It just won't break for them. It might now. Here's Cole. Can he turn? Sharp. Oh, beautiful goal from David Beckham. He curled it in from the angle. And Alex Ferguson is delighted that one of his youngsters has restored Manchester United's lead.
With a run on the left. Scholes in the middle. Good header, lovely goal.
The real important part of the club, the consistency factor. The last 4 championships, we've won 2 and been second twice. No one in the country has been anywhere near that consistency. And I'm hopeful. I'm really hopeful that I'm going to work hard at that on the tactical side to make sure we're going to make a bigger impact in Europe over the next few years. I'd love to at least have a go at the championship. I've always just got to that bit where, you know, you stand and walk up the aisle and never really get to the altar, you know. So I'm looking for that final spurt to take me towards the final.
Would you retire after winning the European Championship?
No, I don't. Depends on what it is, of course. I may have to wait. I'm 70. Nah, it's difficult to say. I hate that word retirement. I get pigeonholed with that a couple of years ago and I don't like it at all.
When you do retire, what would you like them to say about Alex Ferguson?
I'd be happy that they recognised the work I put into the club, which would not be built in sand. I think the foundations are there now that will last for many, many years. And I would hope my contribution will be recognised and that it will always be remembered, and that will be part of the club structure, that to make sure the thing's built on solid foundations.
You're proud of this place, aren't you?
Oh, it's marvellous. I mean, people say about the manager motivating the players, but who motivates the manager? But that motivates you. Round about here, I could sit here and be motivated. I go to the cliff in the mornings, you know. I can look out the training ground and be motivated. And you've got to find that motivation. A manager just can't be expected to be a magician. He has to have something that motivates him. And I get it through this place. I do.